So check this out. Hey, I want to welcome everybody here to Ivey Knows Best. We are here with a very special guest of mine, a friend of mine for well over a decade, Mr. Reyes. What's going on, brother?
What's up, everybody? How's it going?
Hey, man. This is amazing. All right, so just a little, we were talking offline, right? And if you watch the visual on YouTube, you get a chance to hear some of our dialect, right? We were talking about, wives and stuff like that. And Mr. Reyes is somebody who's very in depth and understands those type of things. So I brought Mr. Reyes with us here today, so you can have that conversation. So Ray, man, tell people a little bit about yourself, man.
Man, I met Ivy here when we was in Albuquerque. We was in Albuquerque State Station in New Mexico, and ever since then we've been kicking it. But me myself, I was raised in Brooklyn, born in Belize.
Oh shit.
So
yeah, shoot. Hey, mommy has a knife. Like the guys from Brooklyn. No, definitely.
Always representing. You see.
Hey, that's definitely. He's sitting in my presence right now, wearing a really dope Biggie shirt, which I'm not mad at because I'm a big Biggie fan myself, even though I'm from Texas and whatnot. So but definitely glad to have you here. Being from Brooklyn, man, I know obviously there's a ton of stuff that you see that a lot of people haven't seen. And it's not just because you're from Brooklyn, but because we know for a fact Brooklyn is active, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything that, you took from being raised in Brooklyn and applied to your everyday life?
Man, just having the street knowledge, not even in a bad way, but just being able to be situational awareness and how to play out situations before they happen and get out a bad situation. Being able to analyze everything that's going on and just having respect for other people. Just growing up in the hood, basically, because that's where I grew up, and just being able to have respect for other people and things people learn later on in life.
Right. And what PS did you go to, by the way?
I went to PS9 and then PS39 for the longest.
Shout out to PS9. Wait, did you go to Boys and Girls?
I didn't go to Boys and Girls.
Hey,
I went to John Jay before they changed the name.
Oh, okay. I got a homeboy who went to Boys and Girls, man, but he's a straight up thug.
Yeah.
He don't even care about nobody. He don't straight up.
Boys and Girls was down the street from me too. I had a couple homies went to Boys and Girls.
Oh, okay, so she's pretty familiar. Now, I just know things because I'm a podcaster,
right,
and I'm taught to know things,
right.
So, what I did have a great time doing. Now, there's something that happened right recently. Obviously, we were talking about it also offline. With the changes that we're all experiencing with social justice and the multiple deaths that we're experiencing and seeing. And I think that a lot has changed in the wake of how vocal we are as people. Right? Like, how vocal are you now that you're seeing these type of things? Because obviously, if y'all don't know, Mr. Reyes is still an outstanding member of the United States military.
Right.
So, there is a set. Now, I want to make sure I say this. Now, Mr. Reyes' views do not necessarily express the views of the United States Air Force for anyone who is listening, or anybody who would try to take this recording and use it as such. No, Mr. Reyes is actually a single individual who is speaking his mind, and he's free to do so on my platform. And we just want to make sure we gave that disclaimer before he says anything. So, as we were saying, what have you done now? Since we're now able to use these platforms to have these conversations. Like, what are you doing different now?
Right, but like you said, I'm still in the military, so I still gotta watch what I say.
Right.
But for the most part, just pointing out the obvious and explaining to people what BLM means, what Black Lives Matter really mean. Can't believe in 2020 still got to explain that. I feel like it's overshadowing everybody else, but just simply like, hey, regardless, I'm still in the military. I'm still Black at the same time, so I still got to deal with them same issues, whether I'm in uniform or outside uniform. Because we actually had an incident not too long ago where somebody, one of our security force members, was discriminated against by somebody that was in the visiting center. I guess I don't know what happened with that situation, but there was a video out there. So she said, the first thing she goes, "You Black, this and that." I'm like, oh my God. So, those type of people that, it's disrespectful to our military, this and that, but be the same person. When it's a Black person in uniform, they disregard all that.
I say this all the time. No, Jack, you disrespect me. Like, you keep the flag out of it. It ain't got nothing to do with it.
Right.
I fought for it, respect it. It's part of the game. I get it. But no, we're not going to do that. Just as people, we're not going to disrespect each other.
Right.
That's crazy. But speaking of that, Speaking of that, if anybody is friends with me on Facebook, by the way, Mr. Eric Ivey on IG, just regular Eric Ivey on Facebook. There was a situation that befell me yesterday, and Reyes was there, man. Reyes was front and center for this, and it's crazy because I posted this post about Candace Owens and how the NAACP helped her when she was 17 years old because white kids who were threatening to beat her up or something like that. If you want to go see the post, it's still up. I can't post for the next 24 hours because of the following situation. So I posted this, and for me, it was all good. It was nothing. An individual obviously took, trying to figure out the best word, took liberties with the statement and with the statement that was made via the post, and then he posted this thing with George Zimmerman under my page. If you don't know who George Zimmerman is and you've been living under a rock, shame on you. He's the man who killed Trayvon Martin. And also recently he just got assaulted because he was caught bragging about killing Trayvon Martin, right? So for anybody out there, if you are watching this visual, right, and you do see me, you can tell Mr. Zimmerman if he ever felt free to want to come speak to me on this show. He's not welcome. However, we can have another conversation, but that's another situation, all entirely. So I told the guy who posted under my page, I say, look, guy, this is not the place for that. This just tells them what kind of trash you are. I'm just kind of paraphrasing. And, the guy hops on, like, man, no, you're the trash. And then posts this other little meme of this thing that says Martin Luther King, right? So it's like, like pointing out the fact that there's looting going on in this. So I was like, oh, man, well, this is horrible. right? So, we shared choice words. And if you know anything about me, you know for a fact, I don't play that kind of game. It's not what we do. We're not going to do that. So I said something to him, just, around the fact, and he gets upset. And I didn't report him. I didn't do anything. I really just sat back and I let it go. I was like, it's going to play out. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen because I already see him being mad, right? He's already upset. So he goes, man, you, and pardon my language, I do apologize. I know my mom's listening, but I'm going to speak it. He goes, you... First he called me a pussy, which that didn't bother me. Right. I was okay. That's just words. You're gonna say what you want to say. You're an adult. Anybody out there, if you ever let words affect you, you need to work on it. Okay, because I'm not. This is not my thing. So I was like, oh, whatever. So then he goes on and he goes, and I was, man, look, you're not about that action. Let's stop it because if we, we cross certain lines, me and you are gonna have to just we're gonna have to deal with this, like person to person. And it just doesn't get better. It doesn't get good for anybody. Right. So he goes on, and then he calls me a nigger. Right. And I was like, man, like, oh wow, like the shock value was there too. I was like, in 2020, man, you're tripping. Exactly. Like wow, we're I don't know how far we are from slavery and all these other things, but like it's hundreds of years ago. But you still calling me a nigger in 2020? Right. I heard somebody. And what's crazy is that the same ones that's like, oh, I'm not racist, I'm not this. As soon as they get angry, that's the first thing they try to say to hurt your feelings. Never. What? Whoa. What? It makes sense, but okay. Like, why are we using that? Like, why are we doing like? Look, I understand that we use the word amidst us, because it's us, right? It's like whatever. Exactly. But when someone else, and I get when people, oh well, you use it. Why can't we use it? Well, the reason why you can't use it is the same reason why I can't walk into a room full of women who've been victims of domestic abuse and say, well, hey, if you listen once, you wouldn't have to be told that way. Right. I'd be looking like I would be look like the dumbest person in the world. In the same way you would defend that, you should defend this. Right. It's ignorance one way or another. Exactly. And for anybody who's ever suffered domestic abuse, I do apologize. I'm not making light of your situation. I'm just saying, on the same hand, I wouldn't walk into a room full of women and do that. I have enough respect, not only for you, but I have enough respect for myself. I have enough respect for my mother, my grandmothers, any woman. I have respect for my daughters, and I wouldn't want that to befall them. So I just want to make sure I cleared that statement up because I know how people take stuff and run with it, right? So amidst all this, I started firing back, right? And then it started becoming funny because I started thinking, I was like, well, I'm not, I haven't been niggerish in quite some time.
Right.
And I think that, like, this is a perfect time for me to expose what a nigger looks like. Now, listen, if anyone doesn't like the N-word, it's a dreaded word. We're going to use it on this show at this moment for this specified reason because it was said yesterday in 2020. So I know this guy. Me and this guy used to work together back in 2013, 2014. Uh-huh. And, you know, he was never like this. At least he never showed me he was like this.
Right.
Well, luckily for me, he showed me he was like this yesterday. So, you know, he goes, he says all kind of flamboyant things, as you saw.
Right.
And I was like, wow. Well, let me make this fool famous because anybody who knows me, you know for a fact I don't go for certain things, right? Ultimately, outside of Ivey knows best, I am a human. I am going to make mistakes, and this part of it is my mistake. My response could have just been like, whatever. I could have just been like, all right, whatever. Took pictures of it, let him keep going, and just kept, you know, putting it out there. But I was like, I need to say something. Like, this is just not going to fly with me. I'm not going to let someone take the liberties of using that word, whether you feel justified or not. Mm-hmm. I'm a black man. I've served in the military. I've protected my country. I've done everything I've needed to do to ensure that not only is my position solidified in this world, but also my children's lives are solidified in this world. Right? So I think he took quite a bit of liberties with that word. I mean, he said, if you go and you look on my Facebook, he said this N-word like 8-9 times, right? And people were like, you know, like, this dude's a fool. What's wrong with him? Now, then there's also messages I was getting that wasn't, hey, this guy's a fool. It was, hey, where's this guy at?
Right.
You know, do you know, hey, tell him to drop his location. You know. I was like, well, I can't do that. You know?
Right.
We can't have people drop. I don't want anyone to get hurt because somebody wants to be stupid. Right. No matter how much I felt like that was necessary. And I thought it was funny at one point because it stopped being like he stopped having creative things to say. Right. I was like, oh, so you ran out of ammo, huh? So you came out with the big N-word bullet. That's the only bullet you had. You pulled it, you shot, pow. And then when you missed, I was like, oh. You only got one. You only got one. And then I realized that's your special move. It's like playing the kid on Sega. I don't know, like Shaq Fu. If anybody's ever played Sega, shout out to Shaq Fu. Or Nintendo, you playing somebody on Mortal Kombat or something, and they keep squatting down using the kick and all that. That's all he had.
That's like my son. My son, I'm fighting night, press one button, help me to death.
Hey, listen, he figured it out though, didn't he? You know, he figured it out. So, like, to me, it was nuts that he was just using that one thing. Right. And I was so happy that he was using it. Because I was like, oh, so not only are you illiterate, right? Not only do you have a deficiency as a human being, you have a deficiency as a man, right? Which is even greater because you don't realize that, mind you, this isn't a white male. Right. This is a Mexican man.
Exactly.
Using these words. This is another minority using his suggested platform or his suggested superiority on his platform. And not only is he using it, he's using it in a way that really wasn't effective because you got made famous. So, and by that I mean people saw you for what you are. Right. And I'm glad they're coming out, and I'm glad they're speaking their minds now. I'm glad all these racists are feeling comfortable to say, hey, this is what we think about y'all. So now you can't hide anymore, and we don't have to be fooled by it. You know, like, it's just, you know, a good time, you know, for those of us who are intelligent. Now, not a good time because the words are powerful, but a good time because you can't hide anymore.
Exactly.
What you are is what you are. And if you're looking into this camera and you subscribe to that crap, you are that kind of person, and I'm talking to you.
Everybody know it now.
Everybody knows. You can't hide. Like, you can't go and like, nah, Reyes, I'm not like that. You are like that, man. Exactly. That's exactly
what's even crazy is that he threw out every stereotype. You probably live at your mom's house and you probably on welfare. I'm like, what? What is this guy talking about?
Hey,
like,
you know,
it's just insults that friggin' don't make any sense.
And shout out to my mother, because I wish I did live with my mother.
I know,
and
right? Being an adult now, you know that's what it takes.
Yeah, straight up, like,
I wish I was at home.
And like with the welfare thing, yeah, I kind of wish I could get a piece of that action too. What are you talking about? Like, but I don't live with my mother.
You got a dope house, as I can see.
Yeah, I have a house.
It's pretty dope.
By the way, this is my home.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But you know, it's crazy. It's just like it's 2020, man. And,
Right.
and some people came out and they privately messaged me and stuff like that. And I don't want to take away from the fact that people supported me. And there are some people who supported me very loudly.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I was like, yes, yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody deserves to, you know, get called that name or get treated that way.
Right.
Just because of a disagreement. Number
Exactly.
one. And if a disagreement causes you as a person to feel like that,
Mm-hmm.
you need to reevaluate everything.
Right.
Because I got a black son. You have a son, right?
Black son.
And there's a teaching lesson where I have to teach my son, just like you have to teach your son.
Right.
Like, okay, look, there's this stuff, there's these things, there's these people that
Right.
use these words, there's these situations that you gotta avoid. And the crazy part is I had an opportunity to navigate that yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I navigated it. I think I navigated it well. But I think at the same time with me navigating it,
Mm-hmm.
I was also a bit with the foolishness.
Right.
You know, so I do gotta apologize for my part in it and some of my language. Because I know for a fact my mother didn't raise me that way.
Yeah,
My father didn't raise me that way.
Still a respect thing at the end of the day.
Right.
Got real disrespectful.
Yeah, it got out of there. It got out of control, and I felt amazing because I think that like after a certain point, I should have been like, hey man, like just go to Ivey Knows Best on Spotify or on Apple Podcast or Google Podcast or anywhere where you stream it, and you can definitely subscribe, and you can actually leave me a nasty comment. Just make sure you listen for at least 31 seconds.
Right.
If you want to know how long it takes to get a stream.
Right.
31 seconds. But and I told him, I said, man, you're a fan. That's what this is. You're a fan. And you know, then he said some stuff that I didn't put up there because I really didn't want to. I didn't want to have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because he's like, oh well, you know, hopefully your grandmother knows that you have. Hopefully, what he said, I hope you have insurance so that your grandmother can, you know, be able to see you when I send you to the hospital. And I was like, you just said I was on welfare, so
Right.
you know I got Medicaid. like, you know I got or Medicare, whichever one it is. You know I got government assistance.
Right.
So, which by the way I don't. Anybody listening or watching, I don't. But it is what it is. It's fun to say.
Yeah.
I like it. It made me laugh.
It's
And it just showed how ignorant people are. Yeah, man. And you know, and here's my thing, right? How do you feel watching all this? As a person watching it all, how did like in your mind, how did it play out?
Like you said, it's 2020, and I'm like, man, I can't believe this is really happening right now, especially in the situation we in. And it's like, he's just continue the process of showing, like, there's people out there that, oh, well, that's the same people that's like, I have black friends, or I have this person that's black, but yet they don't show this side of them.
Right.
Those are the same people. So it's like, yeah, these people are ridiculous. And what's crazy is that even back then in, what year was this? I would say like 2012, 2013, when we was in New Mexico.
That was a good time.
Me and my wife, right? We was living in some apartments, and we had just gotten a dog. And I was taking the trash out, and the dog got out running around. This white lady, older lady, coming up the thing. The dog's running back and forth, not even trying to attack her, and we trying to catch the dog. She's like, how about you put the dog on the leash, and this and that. Started going off on us. So started saying all type of black this, black that. Well, how about you go back to Chicago? We're like, Chicago? We're not even from Chicago.
What?
Like, what is this lady talking about?
Shout out to Chicago.
Right, shout out to Chicago. But we just wasn't from there, so that was the
Right.
main thing. Like, go back to Chicago, black this. I'm like, okay.
Damn.
So we just ignored her. Fortunately, it kept it moving. But yeah, it's crazy that stuff like that still happening in 2020, man.
Like how?
But I'm
Like-
just happy that they're all exposing themselves so they have nowhere to hide now. So
Like how? Like my thing is this. Look, I'm glad he didn't drop his location because we wouldn't be shooting Ivey Knows Best.
right.
Wouldn't be unless they would allow me to do it from a jail cell. So, and I don't want to be. I want to be very cavalier or be very straightforward about this. Right. I don't think that we as African Americans or any kind of any kind of minority have a real genuine right to really hate each other when the system as a whole isn't set up for either one of us to succeed in large numbers. Now, pay attention for all lives matter folks who watch me and listen to me. I want to make sure that you heard me say this right. In large numbers, right? So let's look at something right quick because I want to do this because I'm glad you're here. You know how many billionaires are in the world, Ray?
A lot, no.
Yeah, I'm on Google right now. Y'all can hear me typing.
A lot.
All right, that's how many billionaires in the world.
No, a lot of them aren't black.
All right, so check this out. According to Forbes, as of March 18th, 2020, there are 2,095 billionaires worldwide. 614 of those billionaires live right here in the United States. Okay, so the total net worth of the world's billionaires is $8,700,000,000 less than the previous year. There are 58 fewer billionaires than a year ago, and 226 fewer than the beginning of March. So people are losing money. Now this is according to howmuch.net via Google, right? Now if you want to ask the very big question, right, which is going to coincide with how many billionaires in the world are black, and I'm glad you all are being able to see me do this upon my computer. As of 2019, there are 15 billionaires of a full or mixed black ancestry in the world. Out of the 2,200 billionaires in the world,
15.
It's only 15. Now, this is what I mean by a large number, right?
All right.
That means that less than 0.77, so not even a percentage, not even 1% of the U.S. dollar billionaires are black.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
I'm not making this up. So this is what I mean by large numbers. Some people, it's possible. Oprah Winfrey did it. Michael Jordan did it. Floyd Mayweather did it. Jay-Z did it. Shout out to Brooklyn.
All right. He is from my neighborhood.
Somebody hit the daggone horns, man. They love out there, right? So when you think about that number is astonishing. We don't have the numbers to say, hey, you know what? For every one Jay-Z, right? Wouldn't it be great to have 50 Jay-Z's?
Right.
Wouldn't it feel good to have 50 Oprahs?
Exactly.
It'd be amazing to have 50 of those people. And people probably, man, why are we talking about race? I'm gonna tell you why we're talking about race. Because just not too long ago, I think less than 24 hours, because my posting ability is not back on Facebook yet. Right? I was just called a nigger. Right? I have an education, working on my master's degree, all these great things, but I'm a nigger. Right? This is what someone felt about me, man, in the year 2020. And not looking at the fact that after we get done fighting this social injustice with the police brutality, let's look into this financial disparity situation.
Right.
There's no way that we have those many billionaires, right, in the United States, 614 to be exact. I think somewhere is what the number said. 600 billionaires in the United States, and we got poor people.
Exactly.
We got poor people.
That was one of the things Bernie Sanders was trying to do, was tax them. 1%.
They didn't want to let
1% could have been free college for just taxing those billionaires 1%.
They didn't want Bernie. They didn't want Bernie to be president. Not only is he old, but Bernie used to march with Martin Luther King though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
a little something right there about that. I don't know. Who am I? Right. now, Ray. Now we've gotten that out the way. Right. That was like the big bad in the room, so to speak.
Yeah.
I can't believe that we even got to the point where that guy had that much of my time, right?
Yeah.
He legitimately got my account frozen for 24 hours. I can't even tell my mother good morning on Facebook. Now, I can see it, I can like it, but my mother's going to think for 24 hours. Oh, so you don't like your mother no more or something? I posted this at 5 o'clock yesterday. But obviously those guidelines are put in place to keep people from doing things. But, when someone has the ability to be a coward for that long, it just really makes me sick. It's just sickening.
For real.
And the fact that, and even going back to your situation, one, I'm not from Chicago.
Right.
I'm from Brooklyn. Now, if you showed her how Brooklyn do, she would have been upset.
She would have. But Yeah, we had a lot going on, so I didn't want to risk it all.
You feel that? You know, I appreciate
smart in
it.
certain situations.
Right, exactly. And some people don't realize this, right? Now, Mr. Reyes has experienced things the same way I've experienced them.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't change the fact that it's still ignorance.
Right.
It's just a different perspective on ignorance, right? So if I took the viewing public and I told the viewing public, hey, I've experienced this specified thing. And the viewing public goes, oh, okay, well, it didn't happen to me though. Well, that doesn't mean it didn't happen. Just a million people died within the XYZ time span. Just because you haven't died yet doesn't mean you ain't successful to death.
Right.
You know, so things come around the way they come around. It's all about understanding someone else's plight and someone else's position. Like
Exactly.
And by the way, for that lady out there, if you are listening, Black Lives Matter. Okay. Yes, your life matters as well. Don't get it twisted. However, your life isn't under attack. And no one's leaning out of your window telling you to go back to Wisconsin and to take your cats and go pack up. So let's kill that.
There's an invisible two behind that. Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter two.
Right.
That's what that's all it's all about.
You know, but for some people it's the and but, and that
Right.
really really upsets when they go, and but what?
Yeah.
There's nothing to but. What are we butting? Right? We're not butting anything. There's no but.
They quit the shot. All lives matter, but all lives can't matter. Black lives don't matter.
Facts. Factual. I've been saying that, Ray. I've been saying that on the channel.
Yeah.
And I tell people, man, if you listen to me long enough, right, I'm going to repeat some stuff. And after I get done repeating it, I'm going to repeat it some more, and I'm going to repeat it some more, and I'm going to repeat it some more. And the reason why I'm going to continue to repeat it is because the only way to get things down is repetition.
Right.
By the way, shout out to Uncle Sam for that. All right, you didn't
for real.
you didn't learn something. You kept learning, that's for sure. Whether if they had to send you back to go learn it some more, so you can come back and do it, you're gonna learn how to do it because you invested in that. But now, Ray, here's my question for you. Now, outside of that, okay. I do have a question for you, Ray. What keeps you going? Obviously, in the news, you've had the United States Air Force information come out as far as racial disparity and mistreatment. I'm no longer associated with them,
right?
Other than me being a veteran. How do you deal knowing now that that's something that's out there? That's information that's out there. Like, how do you deal with that?
Well, as far as that goes, I just try, of course I got my family, got my 2 kids, my wife. Mm-hmm. Everything I do for them for real. And it's like, my job, I'm in dental.
Right.
I'm a dental assistant, so it's not that hard. You can still see it a little, some favoritism, but, it's nothing too serious for me to, hey, this is it, I don't want to do this anymore. But as far as providing for my family, it's a good source for me to provide for my family, so that's what helps keep me going.
Right.
Also, just being able to see my kids smile when I come home every day, and then that's about it, man. Just them. That's what really keeps me going. Right. Because if it was up to me, I could have been out a long time ago, If it was just me, but like you said, I got bigger visions and it's helping me underway. So
right.
Like but you said on your other podcast with your other guests here, y'all said people get complacent in the places they are, and I'm not trying to get complacent, but right now, or comfortable. Right now, it's like just guiding me or leading up to bigger things.
Right.
So, which is cool. Like, we have a lot of friends that were enlisted with us, and they've gone out and doing great things, and I like that.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? It's time for me to shout out a couple of those guys right now. All right, Mr. Turner with Can'tStopMyGrind.com, Grind Clothing. You can find that. That's one of my very special sponsors. Shout out to him. Right. The Get Down with John Brown. He's another podcast. Check him out. Serve with that guy. And also go check out Owner.net. Owner.net. Mr. Owner CEO on IG. Go check them out, man. They're giving out a lot of good stuff, man. So, these are people that spend a lot of their time not only honing their craft while they're in, but now honing their craft while they're out as entrepreneurs, and they're making a big change in the way that we view how we do things.
Exactly.
Excuse me. Especially as African Americans and people who are of color,
Exactly.
So we definitely want to shout that out.
Yeah, they all been doing a great job. And with Father's Day coming up, he's seeing all those guys all have kids as well, and great fathers. Like the circle that we had as friends,
Right.
all were great fathers. Like, and then they have that stereotype out there. Black fathers is not there.
So yeah, so you're saying black fathers, right?
Right.
All right. So go ahead.
I was saying that circle that we ran with or hung out with, all great fathers, great entrepreneurs. But it's just a beautiful sight to see with that stereotype out there of fathers, black fathers not being there for their kids. And every time I see their timeline is about their kids, their job, or something they got going on, which is great. Yeah. So beating stereotypes every day is just a beautiful thing. So
it's because it's really like beating the odds.
Right.
That's the crazy part, and I think people don't don't necessarily understand that, you know, when we're talking about beating the odds, we're not talking about beating the odds from the perspective of, okay, I'm black, so I beat the odds.
Right.
You know, like we're talking about beating the odds from the perspective of you assume this about me.
Right.
And I can prove you wrong 24/7.
Right.
And it doesn't change exactly how you view me as a person. Right. It'll, you know, even no matter how good I am, no matter how great Liam becomes or how great Israel becomes or how great I've been or how great you've been,
right.
There's always going to be those who look at you like, okay, well, you still don't, you know, you're still not this kind of person. Right. So it's crazy. So I think that what ends up happening is with us beating those odds and those people doing amazing things on the outside and still finding time to love their children, still finding time to work their jobs, still finding time to motivate people, put out product. It goes to show you how dedicated they are. You know what I mean? So, and it's a really important thing because I think now you came here right before my Father's Day special. Okay, so my Father's Day special is gonna go out without a hitch. I have 2 amazing guests on that. I was gonna have 3, but then I was like, you know what? Ray's already coming over here. We're doing a visual. We might as well sit here and talk about it too, right? Right. So, you know, let's, you know, get that all out there. And I want people to understand that it's not us talking about being black fathers isn't us feeling like just because we're there, we're doing our job. No, it's how we parent. It's how I watch Ray, just like I watch Mike Edmonds, just like I watch John Brown, just like I watch Philip Thompson, just like I watch Devin Cohen, just like I watch Elijah Dickens, just like I watch Elijah Capel, just like I watch anybody else that I know. Right. Demetrius Turner. There's so many guys I can name who none of you guys probably know, and if you do know them, you know, good for you, good on you, right? But I watch a lot of those guys legitimately put themselves second to their children. I've talked to these guys on the phone. Willie Fox is another one. I talked to these guys on the phone. I talked to Willie yesterday, right? And majority of our conversation, Willie's playing with his daughter and talking to me at the same time. Right. Willie, and mind you, Willie's still doing a mixtape and still, you know, producing and doing all these things that he's doing. I'm like, man, that's like just watching him do it. It's like, man, that's crazy. It is. But if you let someone tell it, if you let stereotypes tell it, right? Now, here's the thing. It's 2020. As long as this thing that I'm recording with has been available, or this thing here that I'm recording on, or that thing there that he's recording on has been available, or this thing here called a computer has been available. When did we ever, like, if you've ever been taught anything racist, you've had the ability to do what I just did in the last segment, which is look up the information, look and see where people are at, and talk to people. If you were born after a certain time, you have no excuse. Exactly. Like, there's no excuse. Like, and if you were raised in a gentrified area, or if you're raised in an area that has a large mixture in it, like, you don't have a right to be the way that you are. I don't care what someone teaches you. Exactly. You went to school with smart black and brown kids. You went to school with smart white kids. You went to school with all type of kids. Exactly. There's no reason for that, and it's like it just becomes a, how you say, it becomes a
bubble. It's just putting everybody in that same bubble. All black people in the same bubble.
Right.
Yeah, like laziness, this, that don't work. And it's all false.
and everyone has stereotypes, right? Like white people who don't season their food. Like, you know, that's not true for all white people. There's some white people who really season their food. Like you know, but the problem is I've never heard of a stereotype for white people that is so detrimental as you're not there for your children.
Exactly.
I feel like for anybody who's a father, you understand this. The deepest thing or the most important thing to you is your family. The only thing you have left after you're dead is your legacy.
Right.
And a part of that legacy is your children. And the people who are stuck to carry on your name is your children. So as a father, you do the best that you can do to ensure that your kids have a proper legacy to follow and a proper name to carry on. That is something that I think gets so washed away because we take, or we've been told so long that we aren't there.
Right.
We're not there because they lock us up disproportionately for crimes that mind
Petty
you,
crimes. Like weed that make billions off of now.
You know, they're making, by the way, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that right quick, man. Now, I do not endorse the use of marijuana. However, if you are to use it, there are benefits to it.
Right.
So be it. This is medical research. This is not me saying that I've done it. I'm not saying he's ever done it, which he's never done it, because guess what? He is an upstanding citizen. Exactly. I'm an upstanding citizen. That's not what we do. But at the same time, me saying I understand that there is a benefit to the legalization in the use of marijuana.
Right.
And on top of that, the litany of crimes and the litany of people who've been arrested for these crimes, right, for marijuana, they should be released at this point if you're allowing people to get rich off of it.
I think so. I feel the same way, especially if that's all they're in trouble for. Like, ridiculous.
You had a dime cent. Now you're doing 25.
Right, exactly.
You're doing a whole 25.
Now the whole country making billions off of it, so it's crazy.
It's on the stock market. I'd be angry. If I'm on Rikers right now, all right. If I'm in Florenceville right now, if I'm in San Quentin, anywhere that would be for a drug charge and it involved marijuana, I would be calling my lawyer right now. Right now, because the status quo of the world is so different. I mean, they're making man. Look, Miley Cyrus's mother has a picture with her sitting there with a big old vault of weed.
For real?
Like, man, hey, you know, Jay-Z said it best. Type it in. Google's your friend, bro. You know?
Man, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Speaking of which, yeah, they passed that bill, what, back in the 90s?
Oh, yeah. By the way, Joe Biden was a part of that.
Joe Biden was a part of that.
He was a part of that.
Not all up in, let's vote for Biden. Wait, let's see what Biden's agenda is first.
You know, let's take a look. Yeah. Now, I'm going to turn this around. I'm not going to turn around. You can just come on over and look at this. So you know I'm not making this up.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
She has a vault full of freaking weed, man.
That's at least it's at least 20 years in prison right there.
Man.
More.
If me and you got caught with this, let's Ray, look, man, you would have to, you never see your kids again, man.
Bro, put me under the jail.
Like, I never see my children again. Like, I'll be like, hey, look, just tell your mom to auction off the house. Just at least get my bill so I can get a good lawyer in this piece. I'm in trouble.
That's another thing. Speaking of house, those previous people you named too, all homeowners.
That's true. That's very true.
Man. Another way being the odds, which is great.
They don't, you know what? And these guys, and I said this to them all. I said it to every single one of them. I said, you don't know what you're doing for me, guy. Like, you're putting it up here for me. Like, the more you do it, the more I put it up here, right? And I think that as men, especially minority men, right, we should definitely push to speak more positivity and create more positive dialogue between each other, and be very uplifting, especially when, like you said, beating the odds, doing something like buying a home, doing something like starting a business. Man, Turner shoots so many commercials, so many grind. Mind you, he shoots it himself.
I see his photos and videos. They look amazing.
I was like, man,
amazing job.
You know, we went down to we did a wedding together.
Ryan Time Studio.
That man's doing it. This man, he was networking at the wedding. Like, he took this dope picture of me, which, by the way, you can go see on IG. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Ivey, Mr. Eric Ivey, should I say, on IG. Go check that out. And when you see that, you'll see there's a picture of me sipping from a cup. It's apple juice. It's apple juice. And Hennessy made apple juice for that one day, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I'm sitting there, I'm drinking, and it's a good time. Wedding was going great. And I didn't realize how good the photo was. When I looked at the photo the other day, and I was like, I really like that photo. Like, I really like that photo. Like, I'm gonna screenshot it and steal that photo.
Yeah.
You know, just so people can see, like, how great that is. Like,
Yeah, he takes some dope pics, man.
He's amazing. He's amazing.
Dope pics.
Amazing. So, yeah. You know, Mike Edmonds is another one that I said that really speaks volumes. Like, athletic kids, right? And here's why I brought up Mike Edmonds. I'm not talking bad about Mike Edmonds at all. Mike Edmonds is amazing. Man, there is something to be said about how athletic kids become, right? And how parents can influence their children to continue, right? So you being a black father, I've seen your son plays football, soccer. I mean, I don't think he's not played anything.
He did karate, swimming. What else? I think that's all they did. My daughter did soccer. He played basketball as well. My daughter and son played basketball. Daughter did gymnastics, swimming as well.
Jesus.
But yeah.
Your kids are involved, right?
Yeah.
Involved.
That's another thing. Just like trying to stay on top of them. It's like sometimes you come home and it's like, man, I'm tired. And even on the weekend, I'm tired. But trying to get these kids, keep them busy.
They need me.
Yeah, they need me.
Right.
Because growing up, like, grew up with a single mom. Of course, my aunts and stuff was there to help. Growing up is like, I play baseball. So it's like, me and my cousin, we all played baseball. My mom was there for some games, but when it came to practice, me and my cousin went by ourselves. We used to walk miles to like in Prospect Park. Shout out to Brooklyn again, out there in Prospect Park. We walked like at least 3 miles to get to the park. We're throwing the ball the whole way or just jogging.
Jesus.
And it's like, just not having anybody there at the time, like, you don't realize how much it affects you until you get older. So I try to make sure everything they do, I try to make sure I'm there for them. So it's crazy.
I can only imagine doing that. Like, you know, and this brings back this Biggie bar. Like, it's hard to creep them Brooklyn streets. You know what I mean? Like, especially being a kid, you're going to baseball practice.
Right.
Like, imagine what you had to navigate to get there. Imagine then, just for you just to play a sport, you know, how hard you had to not only practice, but then go back home.
Right.
So now you
make it back.
You got to make it back home. So practice will probably end at an XYZ amount of time. Hey, I need to hustle at home. It's about to get dark out.
Right.
So and mind you, now this I've never one time my entire life I played sports as a kid, and I've never had a parent not pick me up. You know what I mean? My mother, my father, they picked me up. Like it was happening. So I just can't, you know, imagine what life would be like having to do that.
Yeah.
Right? And I commend you on surviving that, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, I commend you on definitely taking your kids to these events, being at those events, because you see how it affected you. Right. Your mother more likely wanted to be there.
Exactly.
You know.
She had to do what she had to do for us to eat, so
right.
I understood that as well. But yeah, I didn't realize this until I got older, you know. Like, even to this day, I see parents who just drop their kids off at these events and leave. You know, I'm like, they need to stay. They don't understand how much these kids look to the side and don't see their parents, or even like a play at school, you know. One of them things. Like, I did a play at school and parents couldn't make it, or my mom couldn't make it, you know.
She had to get that money.
So, exactly. So it's like, just now being a parent and realizing all this is like, yeah, I got to be there for them. You know, make sure they see me, make sure I see them. I'm not going to force it on them. It's stuff they enjoy doing.
Right.
So, you know, because a lot of people force their kids into it because they see it as the only way us black folks can make it out.
Right.
You know, so it's like Biggie say, they sling rocks, they have a wicked jump shot. So, so that one point, that was the only way for us to make it. So we've came a long way.
Man, I think, and this I said this the other day. I said I have to put my kids into the tech world, right? Like, I had to get them into tech. Their mother's into tech. So I'm like, okay, well, I see how much money is in the tech world. Right? And like, I see how often my kids get on YouTube, and I see how often my kids are on video games, and how often they're navigating software and stuff like that. And I thought one day, I said, man, you know what? As much as I want to put my 6-year-old out there and let him go run off and play football, whatever it is he wants to do, he can do all that stuff. As much as I want to put him in the ring and have him, you know, just, you know, do something special to somebody, so to speak, or have something special done to him. That's the name of the game,
Right.
you know. But as much as I would like for him to experience those type of things, I actually appreciate him knowing how to do the other stuff too.
Right. Exactly.
Right? And I never want my child to be like, okay, bro, because you're black, you have to do these things.
Exactly.
Well, you don't got, first and foremost, if you don't know, I don't play basketball for nothing. I don't. Play football, avid Dallas Cowboy and University of Texas fan. Shout out to both of those teams, especially the Cowboys.
What?
Right? I'm only saying that because Ray's here and Ray's a
Giants.
Giants fan. You know, but
Everything,
you know,
New York. Giants, Knicks, Yankees.
like if my son ever got drafted by any of those teams, I show up to the game wearing the opposite team's jersey. Even though I love my guy, you know, I'd be like, hey, you know what? Listen, son, you know I'm here for you. Like if he played for the Giants and he scored a touchdown on the Cowboys, I'd boo my own son. I'm like, no, good job, boy, but no. What's wrong with you? Run the other way or something.
Right.
You know? But no, all joking aside, I definitely would, you know, I'd support whatever they chose to do.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's sports or if it's tech, if it's acting, if it's singing, if it's wanting to be an architect. Now the only thing I won't support you doing is being nothing.
Right. Exactly.
Like you're not gonna sit here and be like, I'll figure it out.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah.
All right, and because I know my mother's listening, hi mom, number one. I know she would destroy me, you know, and my father would destroy me if I allowed my children to be nothing, because they didn't allow me to be nothing.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
so I would be less of a man to not hold up my end of the bargain and pass on a better life for my children.
Right.
And, you know, so I always tell my kids this all the time. You think grandma and grandpa are nice. Well, if I let something happen to you, they won't be so nice. My mother told me one day, hey, if you let them fall off this, because my son was like 2, and he stepped off, you know, 2-year-olds, they just fall everywhere.
2-year-old boys, especially.
You know what I mean? So he's walking, and he steps off the side of a curb, and he slips, and he scratches his head, right? Boom, has a knot. And I brought him to my mom's house, because I was visiting her. It was like a week later. And the knot had went down, but he still had the 2 scratches. My mom looked at me and said, what happened to him? I said, he fell. All right? And she was like, And she said, let me tell you something. She was like, if you let my baby get hurt again, don't come home. And I was like, oh, man. And like, her voice changed, too. It wasn't like, it wasn't up here. It was like, don't come home. Like, I was like,
it's
oh,
crazy how that changed when they become grandparents. When we was little, they would have put the knot on it.
oh, you gotta go put some ice on it, boy.
Right.
Go rub some butter on it.
They probably did it not themselves.
You feel me? We're not even gonna get to that. We're not gonna get to that.
Facts.
You know.
Now with the grandkids, oh, you don't have to do that.
You don't gotta hit them. You just gotta talk to them.
Right, just talk to them.
Like, where we don't want to talk to people when you was breaking me off, man. Like, wow.
But,
Jeez.
yeah, that changed for the better too, though.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's like, well, you got PTSD from that, but us just from
Like I told my mother one day, I said, hey, I want to thank you very much because I think you helped my VA rating. Yeah, because I have like this mean ringing in my ear, and like I now I'm thinking about it. You know.
You got improved reaction time.
You know. I see it coming before it comes.
Right.
You
Improved
know.
reaction time.
Now, will I get away from it or won't I? That's another situation.
Right.
I know it's coming.
Exactly.
All right. That long ringing I got in my ear from, man, my mom used to have like the crazy. And here's the thing, my mother didn't like, and my father, you know, they didn't spare no piece of ass you had. All right. If they can turn that ass up, they won't get a piece of that ass. It's a wrap. But it took a while to get there. Right. The more I think about it as a parent, I realize my parents talked to me so much. I was like, hey, look, don't do this. And my dumb self would go out and do it.
Exactly.
And then I'm like, damn.
That was all of us, man.
My mom was like, I'm like, man. I remember one day I got in trouble in school, and I was like, on the ride home, I was like, bro, I wonder if I just run away from home. like would she not care?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I didn't have the balls to run away from home.
Right.
I went into the house, and I took my punishment. But nonetheless, my mother and my father were very, very instrumental in my growth as a person, and particularly my father was very much so. And the older I've gotten, I realized that my father was even more instrumental because he said very little, but when he did say things, they meant something. Right. Mama tell me things every day. I'm not saying her stuff didn't mean anything.
Right.
But Dad's stuff meant so much because Dad was telling me things that I didn't realize as a young man I was going to experience moving forward. And
Right.
now that I have 4 children, I don't have one, I got 4.
Yeah.
Right. Ray just met.
I stopped at 2.
Ray just met 4 of my kids. Right, all 4 of them, and I'm sitting here looking like, man, like, how in the world do I navigate being their dad and still, still be a figure, like a powerful figure to them, and still also be fun and all these things. Then I relied on what my dad did with me, and I was like, you know what, that worked out perfectly because I needed that.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of times, I think that mom's love is what we want because it's so comfortable. Right? Mom's love is really so comfortable. As a father, like dad's love, if it's uncomfortable or not, you grow a lot from dad's love. Mm-hmm. Right? So like there's a lot, and you grow a lot from mom's love too, but like as a young man, dad's love, because it's so much, there's so much as a man. If you are a young lady listening to this podcast right now, no offense to you, I'm not speaking about you. I know your love is amazing. I'm very inclusive here. But being a father and realizing that my own father's, like, the way he loved me, the things I needed to do, things I needed to learn, how I need to treat the mother of my children, how I needed to treat my own children, how I needed to circumvent getting myself in trouble, how I needed to, all these different things. He taught me all of it. Right. And without that, I think we wouldn't be having this conversation. Yeah. I wouldn't be able to sit across from you, talk to you, and still be able to like have my right mind. Right. Because I would have been somewhere else, probably in jail. And and I think that we wipe that away so much. It's always like, oh, the father, you got a mother. Right. What do you worry about the father for? Because the father is a very important part of a young man's development.
It is. And young ladies too, when it comes to the love part. But like you said, they learn how to be treated by a man from their dad.
The first man you fall in love with is your dad.
How their dad treat their mom. So it's unfortunate that, like again, they grew up without a dad. They face the same way we grew up without a dad as men. Yeah. So it's like a lot of stuff we should have known, like we learn later in life.
And that's the one thing I never wanted. I never wanted none of my daughters to ever go through that.
Exactly, same here.
I don't want you to ever learn how to be loved from the wrong source. Right. Because there's multiple types of love. Obviously, I can't love you in certain ways that you'll learn from your husband or your significant other, but I can lay down the foundations of how you should be treated, how you should be looked at, how you should be respected. And I think that a lot of that goes like out the window, like, and especially when you're dealing with like wives, like I'm gonna get to that right now. All right, because wives are wonderful, sweet Jesus, you guys are so great, and we love you. All right, ladies, we love you very much. But when you're dealing with your wife, man, I always say this: when you're dealing with your wife, it's so different from dealing with your daughter. And it's different because with your daughter, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. You don't understand things. Your wife already has these things programmed in her head. Exactly. It's there. Like, she's learned life somewhere, and there's something about it that you love and you connect with, and you want to spend the rest of your life with her, right? With your daughter, you don't got a choice. Exactly. You don't got a choice. You don't. You're going to spend the rest of your life with her, and because she's your baby, it's going to be that thing, right? Yeah. With your wife, it's like, I love you the same way I love her, right? Like both of you are very important, but at the same time, she gets on my nerves a lot less. I love her a lot more. But no, it's just the reality of it. Right. It's the reality of it. Like, you can love them both, but for a fact, with your wife, she's already learned a lot about life. So your walk with her and your lessons with her, in life are learned together. Exactly. Your daughter doesn't have that ability yet, so you have to program her and program it into her. This is what love truly is, because women really operate off love. They do. As men, we operate off of respect. Right. So it's a little different. Like, very emotional. Like, oh, you don't love me? That hurts my feelings, but I'll keep it to myself. You know what I mean? Right. If you don't love a woman, she's not gonna be quiet about that.
Definitely not.
She's not gonna be quiet about that, especially if she's from Maryland. Just joking. Maryland ladies, you guys are beautiful. You guys are amazing.
Yeah.
You guys are great.
I love you, babe.
Yeah, you know. Miss Jasmine, does Jazz listen to the show?
I don't think she has. I think when I'm listening to it, she probably hear a few things.
That hurts my feelings.
She probably gonna listen to this one to see what I have to say about it.
Oh, so you love me now, Ray? You love me now? Yes, I love you.
I'm always, she overhears when I'm listening sometimes.
That's good though. That's good. I want to bring her, MB, and you and I on the show, and do like a couple.
It's gonna be interesting. Remember that episode you did with men's feelings?
Oh man, yeah.
It's gonna be it.
Oh man, I'm gonna get crucified on this one, right? They're gonna be like, oh, men's feelings. Let's talk about how your feelings don't matter. Okay.
But
yes,
it's gonna be fun.
90% of the conversation. Yes, man.
Right.
No, dear.
It's gonna be, oh, really?
Yeah, for sure.
But
yeah. We gotta do that. We gotta set that up.
I'll definitely bring it up to her then.
Cause I have these sweet chairs over here, and
I'll bring my own covers. You got cowboy stuff all over you.
Hey, I'm aware. I have a cowboy robe in my house. You look at it, open the door with it tied.
I got a robe. Or do I have? No, I don't have a robe. I have a jersey though, and pajamas.
Listen, you better not wear that mess over here. All right.
Giants.
And, you know what? To be honest with you, you're invited over. Or I can be. We can flip this, however. You know, it's funny. I have what's called a traveling podcast. So your place, my place, that make me no difference.
All right. Cool.
Right, yeah. So look, I do want to thank you very much for being a part of this. This is great. This is amazing. Adam made something. Tell people where they can find you, please.
Me, them.
Ray,
they don't need to look for me.
They need to look for you, Ray. You need to show them how to get the beef patty with the cocoa bread on the corner. They need to know that, Ray. They need to know.
I'm on Facebook. My real name, Ray One Reyes. You know, I can't remember my IG name. I think I changed it recently.
I don't even know what your IG.
Yeah, me either.
I'll wait to see like one of your kids or something.
I think it's Brooklyn Belizean boy or something like that.
Oh, well, that's Ray's kid right there. Click. Oh, that's Ray. Click.
Yeah, I don't even remember my name, but yeah, my real name on Facebook. So
that's good. And that's another thing. If you're ever in the San Antonio, Texas area, right, and you see one of these shirts that says "Don't miss the message," that's mine. That's found at modishapparel.com. Okay, all right. And if you wanted yourself a little piece off, give me a call. Let me know. Give me a shot. We'll talk. But definitely, man, this is Ivey Knows Best, man. I want to thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, it's love. Right. Go with love. Be with love. Love is love. All that good stuff.